Hi everyone, it's Norman Kochnick here once again with Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. We're here, albeit very late here in Australia, some 11:15 or thereabouts. It's 5:15 in both Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, wherever you want to mention. And Babar Azam has just hit his 100. A magnificent performance. There is still only 2 wickets down for 186, up to 77.3 overs. Babar Azam's probably slightly relieved, but also very glad. And he's certainly kept out a very, very eager Mitchell Swepson and his the Australian side. I've been joined by Mosen Sheikh. How are you?
Hi to everyone. Hi Norman. I'm going well. Thanks, mate. What a day of cricket.
Yeah, this is enthralling, isn't it? 2 for 186. I don't know how much longer we've got to go in the day's play. What do you think? How much time we got left?
Well, they reckon there's about 4 overs to go.
How many overs? 4 overs, did you say?
4 overs, yeah. 4 overs. So
right.
Probably,
time so good timing.
Time was 13 minutes. 13 minutes to bowl 4 overs.
Right. So Pakistan could finish on, let's just assume 200, maybe not quite that many.
Yeah.
That leaves them 300 on the final day. It's certainly gettable.
Mate, it's interesting day's play. I'm just looking forward to it tomorrow. Because the thing is, the wicket has stayed low. The wicket hasn't played any demons. And if you look at Karachi history, the big victories have come on day 5th. And they were talking about famous Australia-Pakistan test match where Inzi got them over the line with the partnership of 50-odd 10th wicket partnership with Mushi. And that was on day 5 when there was only like 2 overs left for the day. And they chased 357. England famously chased Pakistan's total on day 5 when it was almost dark, and famous Steve Buckner didn't let them go off the field because Pakistan used slow over rate and he wanted to finish the game. And Nasser Hussain's famous innings at same venue. Pakistan versus Bangladesh as well is another test match where it finished on very last minutes of day 5. So Karachi pitch is known for its day 5 thrillers, and also it's known for not really deteriorating as much. Like spinners are bowled quite credible on this pitch. Swepson's bowled 20 plus overs, Lyons bowled 20 plus, and they've now gone round the wicket tactic as well. But the thing is, the only factor that has played a big role here is the reverse swing. Now, if you take the first innings in consideration, it started to reverse really early, and it started to go really big. But this ball hasn't gone big, so they're waiting for. I'm pretty sure they'll wait for a new ball early in the morning, and try and see if they can have a bit of a crack with a harder ball, and then go try and reverse it again.
So you're suggesting that they will play out the day with this old ball?
Yeah, I don't see for another 3 overs they take the older ball. Swepson's still trying round the wicket tactics. If you see he's still trying to use that rough, but both Babar and Shafiq have played well. Babar has swept, where Shafiq has not swept as much. So yeah, I think they've had a couple of hues and cries around that area. So I'll probably keep trying for next couple of overs, another couple of overs from Swepson from that end.
It's interesting. I mean, as long as these 2 batsmen are in, they've got a great chance. But as you know, the danger usually encroaches upon when you actually do lose a wicket, because that's when the wickets can really tumble, can't they? That's the issue.
Exactly, and that's what happened. Silly batting, I think, first innings from both the openers. Shafiq getting run out, and then Imam playing a very irresponsible stroke down the mid-on's throat, and then it just happened after that. No one actually paired up with Baba from one end, and it just kept going down the slide very quickly. So as you said, wicket would be crucial, and even after losing Azhar Ali, which I still believe, even with no inside edge, it would have gone over the stumps, but and his decision to not review his dismissal was very strange and surprising for me. There hasn't been any passage where bowlers have really dominated and looked like getting a wicket. They have been tight, but batters have batted them and batted out the day really well.
It's showing a graphic now of Babar Azam's Test career against each opponent. He's batted the most against Australia in terms of innings, some 17, and he scored 583 at an average of 38.9. That's against Australia. But yeah, he's quite frankly, it's very early on in his career. He really isn't a 5,000 or 6,000 run scorer yet. So I'm not saying he's not good. He's obviously brilliant, but there's a fair way to go before you can really call him legendary. But I must say he's on his way, and if they get through this match, it'll be huge. I'd love to see a draw happen. I mean, look, if Pakistan survive the rest of tomorrow, they could well win the match, but it would be a feat to actually not lose is the first feat they do.
Yeah, I think safety first would be the approach. Safety first, and then see what happens in last hour or last session. But you got to play. You got to play with that free mind. If you go in that mindset that you're going to draw the game and dead bat the ball, then you're going to get in a shell. 2, you're going to get in a position where you're facing similar bowler for too long, and if you're not rotating strike enough and not scoring, then all of a sudden you could be in a lot of trouble. So the way they batted today was, I mean, they only gone with 2.5 runs and over, but the intention was if there's a bad ball, you've got to put it away and then keep rotating the strike. That was the best thing. They had long on and long off and a sweeper out really early for spinners, and they hit the sweeper, all 3 sweepers really well and took singles, which means that you're not facing the same bowler over and over and over again. And that way bowler has to change his thinking, his line, his length, and that has worked in favor of Pakistan. They got to keep doing the same thing tomorrow.
There seems to be, in terms of bowling, Mitchell Swepson's probably done well enough to deserve his place. That's where he got 2 wickets in the first innings, undertook the run out on the first wicket to fall, and he even got 15 not out. He's contributed quite successfully, but there's already Paul Newman's making discussion to say that Hazelwood, Boland, and Agar should be brought in for the last game. I tell you what, that won't happen, I don't think. And he also mentioned that Lyon's been disappointing in this test. I must say, Lyon hasn't been overly spectacular. He has taken a wicket, but
yeah, I think the numbers, if you look at Lyon in last year and a bit, he's averaging over 40 with the ball. So considering he's played a lot of cricket at home, still last year and a bit, his average hasn't spoken highly enough of. It took him quite a lot.
They're taking a new ball, by the way. They're taking a new ball.
Yeah, I thought they might because they were talking about it. So, yeah, they've got 2 overs. So, yeah, it'd be interesting.
Interesting. I mean, I didn't think they would do it for only an over 2 by the end of the day, but they are.
Yeah, but that's all right. So at least they've got 12 balls now with the new ball, and then come in and have another bite at the cherry as well. So it'd be interesting how quickly the spinners come in and wear the ball out for the reverse swing tomorrow morning, because that's what they used the spinners today for. They bowled from over number 10 to 17, and then the quicks came in to try and reverse the ball. So I think that will be the same tactics tomorrow morning. They'll use the new ball probably 5 or 6 overs early in tomorrow morning, and then try and get spinners in.
Look, these 2 have done fantastically well. There's still a long way to go. I mean, how many overs in the last day? It's more than 90 overs, isn't it?
Yeah, well, if they bowl their 2 overs, they haven't missed any overs because the Karachi has been a better weather, and they haven't lost any overs. I think they'll be still 90.
Yeah. Cummins, as you would expect, he is a bowler after all, being captain. Of course, he's going to take the new ball. He would have been greedy, in bowling greedy at least. Oh, I'll tell you what, that was some good delivery. Jeez, he's just bowled a ball that's almost absolutely yorked Babar Azam. He's just kept it out.
Yeah, and if you look at the end that he's bowling from, that's where the ball has kept quite low. The delivery that he bowled Babar at when he was 98, that kept really low and got the inside edge toe off the bat. So that's where I think the most
That's swung in. That's swung in appreciably.
That's a natural swing for Paddy Cummins. So I think that's where they'll try and keep this end for quicks, and try and make sure that anything that keeps low or whatnot, they'll work off that.
Babar Azam, when he got his century, put out this big raw sound, and he was looking straight at Swepson when he did it. It's quite. Did you see that? Like that. He was facing straight at Swepson.
He has become Swepson's first Test wicket, and what a wicket to get for your first Test.
He needs to only do that when he wins tomorrow. I think it's probably a little bit early. We're doing it now.
Yeah, true. But still, I think a lot of people were writing the Test match off at the end of day 4. They were thinking that the way Australia ran through Pakistan in first innings, 148 all out, a lot of people would thought that by tea time the Test will be well and over. But as I said to you, the last few Test matches that have gone in Karachi, they've gone day 5 really towards the end, and I would not expect anything else tomorrow. It would be a very interesting day how they start with the ball and how they start with the bat. So again, it's a cliche, but this partnership keeps going till lunch, then it's all 3 results are possible.
It's interesting. There was money. There was a friend of mine who's a bit of a gambler who knows he always follows odds and what have you. He said at one stage, I think may have been yesterday, that Pakistan were $301 to win.
Wow.
Now, obviously, that was when Australia got away for 140 odd, and they looked like they were falling apart, and understandably so. And he kept on saying, because I kept on saying to him that Pakistan's going to win. He goes, well, put money on it then. And he said, put a couple $100 on 300 to 1. I probably should have now.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I mean, it's still way too early to be saying this is the result. If we were around at this time tomorrow, I'd be so excited.
Absolutely.
I'm disappointed with the crowd. The crowd is almost non-existent.
I think crowd was let off. One, there was a heat wave in Karachi, and the second thing is, since the team got out, the first 2 days Australia batted to grind Pakistani bowlers down. That put crowd off, and then Pakistan got out 148. That would have put crowd off. I would expect a decent number tomorrow. I would really hope that crowd comes out tomorrow. Now that Babar's got his 100, there was a better crowd,
especially because we haven't had Test crickets for 24 years, and in Rawalpindi the crowd was quite substantial. But here, being an even bigger city, I know that people have to work. I get that, but I thought there would be a bigger crowd. I'm a little bit shocked, actually.
The best thing was about Rawalpindi, there was a lot of kids, a lot of young guys and girls, and a lot of families. So it's disappointing to see Karachi got over. And you see what I was saying, that the other end, they'll keep going with the spinner with a harder ball. So Lyon's probably going to take the last over and try and sneak another over in. So that's where they'll keep going from top end, from university end.
They've definitely taken the new ball, haven't they? Because they've got Nathan Lyon bowling from one end.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Lyon's got a harder ball in hand, so so they'll go with the spinner on this end, with the harder ball, and pavilion end is where the pitch is staying low, and that's where they'll try and quicks. Rotate the quicks in the morning as well, trying to get the ball roughed up a little early and try and see if there's any reverse.
Yes. So are we saying that there's going to be another 2 overs, you think? Are they saying? I mean, I'm just having a look on the...
Yeah, they're talking about 2 overs. Is what was left. So I think if they get through this over, that would be it. That would be stuff.
I'm not hearing any words. No commentary saying that there's 2 overs left. I'm not sure.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's have a look.
I love the light. It's got this lovely shimmering light, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Karachi being a coastal city, the light stays longer, the days are longer, and they'll have another hot day tomorrow as well. I think they're predicting another mid-30s dry heat, so it will be another hot day tomorrow. And when they come to Lahore, Lahore will be a bit more like Sydney weather in summer. So I think the both teams will enjoy Lahore weather. And I've heard today that they're trying to make a shift of 1 days from Rawalpindi to Lahore as well. So that would be interesting to see what happens there. Because the teams will be in Lahore for the test match. They want to finish the series in Lahore and then fly out from Lahore.
So Paul Newman's asking, what's my prediction for tomorrow? Look, I'd like to say that Pakistan will draw this match. Even if they do bat all day, they can go very close to winning it. I dare say that they're clapping away here. I'm not sure they're clapping away. If it must be the end of the day's play, is it? It is stumps.
Stumps, yeah. That's what I was thinking. There's only 2 overs left, so
It definitely stumps.
Yep.
But they did take the new ball. So there, that's a very commendable effort. I tell you what, Kawaj has come over and just congratulated both batters.
Yep.
And it is a great effort, considering how they got out from 148 in the first innings. I thought that was a bit of an aberration. I don't think that was the true form of the game at all, that Pakistan were out so cheaply. Everything went wrong for them, basically.
No, I think you've got to give credit to Stark and obviously Cummins, because they bowled with the semi-new ball really, really well. They reversed the ball well, and it was good pace. They got up. Both were bowling in 140 plus and reversing. Stark was close to 148, I think. And at that pace, if it's reversing, it's really hard to hold your stroke. If you look at Azhar Ali's first inning dismissal, when he had only a fraction of a second to react to the wider reversing delivery, edged it to second slip, and Cameron Green took a really good catch. Because remember, slips are actually closer than what they would be in Australia, because they're worried about ball not carrying off the slow pitch. So that's why they're too close, and the edge came really fast, and it was probably lesser time what he would have in Australia to catch the ball. So he caught it well, and then after that, it just kept going. So once the momentum is with your quicks, it just blew away Pakistan batting in first inning. It wasn't really something that you would probably associate to a pitch or condition.
They haven't even let Babar Azam get off the field. They've taken his helmet and gloves and bat, and they can walk straight over to an interview, which I think is very. It's not the end of the test match, so it's a bit.
Yeah, I think it is. I think they just. I think the commentators were going a little bit over the top, and I think it is. Everyone's talking about Smith, Barber, and Kohli not scoring 100 for the last 2 years, and since 2020, none of the three have scored 100. So this is first 100 for Barber since February 2020, and in the same period, both Smith and Kohli haven't scored 100 as well. Whereas Root, on the other hand, has scored 8 centuries in that.
So Paul Newman's is asking, they need 300 for the last day. They need 314 actually. It's very, very doable. 100 sessions, very doable.
Very doable, especially if they get through first session. These two bat through first session, I think then all 3 results are possible.
This girl's speaking now. Is that Zanab Abbas?
That's Zanab Abbas, yeah.
I've had a chat with her. I've never physically met her, but we've had chats by way of social media a few times. She seems very impressive.
Yeah, no, she's a good commentator. I like her approach. She actually very professional in her commentary, and she's actually talking sense about game of cricket rather than just some commentators are good in interviewing people, but some people who've got good command of the game of cricket, I think she knows what she's talking about. So yeah, a lot of respect for her.
Well, it's really up to these two because Fawad Alam, well, they got our first ball in the first innings. We haven't seen him at his best. But Rizwan's a real damn fighter. He's still to come in. The key is really these two batters and probably Rizwan.
Yes.
And Rizwan we know can bat long as well. And he's a real fighter. I really wish Ashraf Ali was still there though. If he was there tonight with Bubba, I'd be extremely confident because Ashraf Ali can bat extremely long.
Absolutely. And the way that he walked off after being given out and not reviewing that was more.
He got hit in the glove.
He hit it in the glove, and even though if you don't sense it, sometimes you don't. But you are the premium batsman of the team, so you got to.
You should immediately have reviewed that.
Reviewed it, yeah. Because if there's a doubt in your mind, you got to review it. But obviously, he got carried away that the ball might not have hit the glove or a bat. Then he was right in front of the stumps. I think that was a poor decision.
And Pawnee was right. He says one wicket can change everything. It certainly can.
Absolutely.
The other interesting thing is that Australia have not used at all Travis Head, Labuschagne, Steve Smith. I think that's a good thing. I'm glad they haven't because it annoyed me knowing in the first test they were very ordinary bowlers and they shouldn't have been bowling. I'm impressed that they haven't used those three because they've got the spinning, but they've got the spinners in the attack right now that should win it for them. The other thing was Swepson. It is his first test match, so the pressure will be on him enormously to do well tomorrow. And even though he's a good bowler, I think it could be too much for him. To come out in your first test. If it was Shane Warne, we'd see Pakistan allowed sometime early tomorrow. But because it's not, and we have to accept the fact that it is his first test. It'd be a monumental effort if he could actually go about spinning a victory. Nathan Lyon doesn't look like he's really bowling well enough, and he's not. There's nothing spitting from his deliveries. It may happen more tomorrow, but I doubt it. Although Cummins and Stark, in particular, Stark bowled well in the first innings, everything went their way. Let's be honest.
That's right.
They had an early run out. They had a lot of things go their way. So that's the difference here. But Azhar Ali was the one that really annoyed me because he wasn't out. And we know he can score really, really big. And I'm afraid Baba Azam and Shafiq have to turn their score into, well, Baba has to get a double 100 and Shafiq needs to get probably close to a double 100. For this to be anywhere near at least a draw and potentially an outrageous victory. But I mean, I was watching a graphic now. They're showing the Women's World Cup and they're highlighting Jainara Alam and Shabnim Ismail. I know them both very well. Obviously, there's a looks factor going on there with their advertising somehow.
I was just reading comments from your audience, and some that I look like Atif Aslam. I don't know if I do. Thanks for the compliment. I take that. It's Sonu who's saying that.
Well, Faith Fury's saying that there'll be no draw, there'll be a result. I think he's right.
I think so. I think there will be a result either way. But as I said, now that they've batted all day, all three results are possible. And that's the most exciting part of this test match now, that all three results are possible. I mean, even though the first one is Australia victory, which is the highest possible result, whether it is late in the day or whether it's by the middle of the day, that's still the highest possible result. But now that the probability of having a draw or a slim chance of Pakistan winning is still possible.
Is there any hope for rain?
No. 35 degrees tomorrow, dry, heat, hot. And as you saw in 4 days, not a single cloud in the sky. So there's no forecast for rain.
So Australia batted 2 for 97, right?
Mm.
Which basically they thought with 500 runs should be enough, and I would agree that would have been enough.
Exactly.
The first question is, should they have batted longer? I don't think so.
No. The thing is, they need time as well, and knowingly that the dry pitch is not crumbling, still hasn't crumbled. If you look at the pitch, they've shown enough on drone. It hasn't crumbled. There are footmarks, yes, but it hasn't crumbled like the pitch has crumbled in India. Because as I've said to your audience as well, and if you remember last test, we spoke about the clay content in Pakistan pitches. They don't crumble as they do crumble in India. So the pitch still has not crumbled. It's obviously dry enough, and it's staying low. It's reversing. So all of those factors, that's still a contributing factor to still bat, and it's still good batting wicket.
I'm getting this friend of mine saying Pakistan had $19, not $301. So if I put $10 down every time he spoke to me, I would have made $8,000. You reckon?
That's an easy.
His whole family they're all they used to be all gamblers. His father passed away. He was a real character. His name's Eric. He used to get 30 people in from the non-members area to the members area of the SCG just by his little shenanigans. He was quite a character.
Wow.
So, yeah, look, the fact is that I'm going to forget all those betting options. It's not really the case.
No, not that I can bet. Right?
Let me have a look here. Let's they're talking about the post-Zoom interviews. I'm sure Barbara Azam will be one of the ones that are being interviewed. And Australia should mix their interviews up. They keep getting Pat Cummins. I know he's well loved, but they probably need someone else.
Yeah.
And as Pauline was saying, it would be the greatest win ever if Pakistan can do it tomorrow. We know the odds are against them. I mean, realistically, you'd have to think at this stage Australia's still going to win this.
If you remember, not last tour before, when they were chasing, I think 480 or 490, I think they came close at the Gabba when Asad Shafiq scored a big 100, and they came 9 down or something, and it was really getting close before they lost the 10th wicket. So if they win, I think that would be, it's demanding a public holiday in Pakistan if they win.
Well, look, they'll make absolute bloody history, and they'll deserve it. And if you look at it, really, Australia should have, again, they've been dominant throughout this test match, let's be honest.
Yes, true. And
they declared quite early, score-wise anyway. Not score-wise, both score and time-wise.
Yeah.
And realistically, when they get a team all out for 148, they don't expect them to be 2 for 180 at the end of the day's play, do they? That's not what you would expect. You would have expected Pakistan to have been 120 or something, based on what we saw in the first innings.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's surprisingly, despite the fact that Imam Al-Haq and Azhar Ali went pretty cheaply, in fact, very, very cheaply, nothing really has happened since then, has it? It's been really, it's almost like the pitch has settled down, or at least not further down. And look,
so one end where the spinners are bowling, where Nathan Lyons are bowling, they did a graphic as well. The ball hasn't stayed low from the university end. From pavilion end. University end, the ball started to stay low, skiddy, and that's where the quicks have been operating. They're trying to use the pavilion end for spinners, where the ball's ball hasn't stayed low, but it has spun. But it hasn't spun sharply. Lines operated from that end. I think Shrepson's got to come on from that end as well. I know that they like line to bowl from that pavilion end because of the footmarks that Stark has created. But I think it's worth switching ends to get Shrapple up at the top end and keep the bowlers rotating from these ends, because with leg spinner, anything that skids or stays low, it's going to be really hard to face. So I think that's going to be really a big challenge for these two batters to come and start again and start really well to bat through that first session without losing a wicket.
Just the way that Pakistan grounded away at early stages, not scoring runs. They didn't care how many runs they scored. They weren't being ultra defensive, but they weren't concerned about not scoring runs. That makes any sense. They just batted solidly without even worrying about getting runs. And it was a very clever balance. Quite often you see sides become very defensive and not know how to attack. But the Pakistan batters weren't doing that. They were batting with resolutely, but with the potential to score runs where necessary. And even the way Babar Azam got his century was on a fairly, well, you could argue, pretty loose shot, but they've got the right attitude. It's just a pity because these two are doing great, but the other two that are out were the ones that really have made that happen. Imam and Azhar Ali bat, as we saw in the first set, extremely long. Fawad Alam, I know he's got a good reputation of late, but his batting stance, the way he played the first ball, got out for a duck, he looked awfully loose. Whether that was just a bit of an aberration, I don't know, but he has to bat out his skin and Rizwan because those four are really it. I mean, Neumann can bat apparently. He got 97 in a match, but we can't rely on that, not in these conditions.
And the thing with a lot of people have spoken about the lower middle order, Pakistan's lower middle order. They have scored runs. Both Fawad, Rizwan, Fahim have scored runs in conditions where ball hasn't reversed massively. They all scored runs in New Zealand. They've scored runs against South Africa. But it would be interesting because, as you saw, the stance is too open. There's too many movements pre-delivery for Fawad. And if the ball's reversing tomorrow morning and reversing big, and it's got pace behind it, 145 plus, he's got very little chance to survive. He's a good player to spin. He'll use his feet. He'll sweep as well. But if the ball's reversing at that pace, it will be hard for him to get a good start. And once he's got a start, he's got a lot of hundreds in lately. But again, those conditions have been batting friendly, where the ball hasn't been reversing or spinning big. So it'd be very interesting for him to hold his batting up because he can stitch the lower middle order batting with anyone any one of the top orders staying with him, either Babar or Shafiq. So he can then stitch a good partnership with one of them and then carry on with the lower middle order.
Talk us through Steve Smith's drop catch. What was your take on that?
Tough catch, and especially when slips standing in front of the keeper, it really makes it hard for a slipper to judge the ball, whether it's going to come to him or it's going to go to the keeper. Because obviously, in normal conditions in Australia or any other grounds, you see first slip standing behind the keeper. And that's where you get a reference point, so you can understand this catch keeper's got to go for it. Where if you're standing in front of keeper, you get no reference point. It's very hard, and it just happened because they're standing closer than normal slips fielders. The ball's coming quick. We've got no reference.
It went straight in though. It wasn't like it was.
It did. Yes, it did. And same thing with Green's catch yesterday. It went straight to him, went quickly, and he's got big hands to carry it. And look, Steve Smith hasn't caught well this Test match. He's dropped one at one first slip, dropped one at leg slip. So there's a couple of drops that he's been, and there's half a chance on a spinner as well that he dropped. So there's a few chances that he's dropped being a slip fielder, and he's your number one slip fielder anyway. So it's kind of a worry whether it is again they're standing too close or balls coming too quickly at that spot. I mean, we're looking at minute kind of things. There are no excuses anyway. You got to take them. If you're number one slip fielder, you got to take them.
Oh look, the whole thing's been enthralling. I mean, I'm one of those rare people that love to watch this happening, this whole game, and even the first match. Some people said, "Oh, it's boring," because I guess the evolution of T20 and ODIs has taken away from this sort of battle. And I really love this, and especially the way that the Pakistan team have not let this go. They could easily have capitulated, but they haven't. And Australia, you know, they're obviously still in the ascendancy, hugely. But taking 8 wickets on the last day normally would be very doable. I just don't think Swepson's quite ready for this. It's his first Test match. For him to come out and win the match is a huge effort. Now, Steve R is saying Smith should be dropped. Not well, for the catch, I don't think so. He's batting well. He hasn't got a lot of runs. In fact, again, there's only been one century maker in both Test matches by an Australian. And that's of course, Usman Khawaja. And in the second innings, they didn't give themselves a chance to score centuries. But, you know, Labuschagne got 44. And again, the only one that really, well, in that short performance was, again, Khawaja with 44 not out. And Khawaja, 2 centuries, a 97, 160 and 44 not out. He can, if anyone suggests that he shouldn't be playing, and I made a comment on the community page on my YouTube channel. I said that I think he should be captain, and they went to town on me saying he's too old. I said, well, if he plays like that, he's not too old. And Misbah al-Haq started. When did he first captain?
Yeah, he captained at 37.
Yeah, and he captained for about 5 years, didn't he?
That's right. Yeah, retired at 42.
I don't think there's any difference between Misbah al-Haq and what Khawaja's doing, and I honestly think that if they play a lot of subcontinent Test cricket, which they probably will, especially in countries like India, imagine how good Khawaja's going to go in both Sri Lanka and India. He's going to revel in those conditions.
Well, you remember when he was first dropped. He was dropped after India tour, and he was labelled that he can't play spin, which was, you know, I've known Uzi for a long time. He's been a fantastic player. He's been a fantastic player against spin as well. So, you know, he's had one bad tour and got labelled really early that he can't play spin. But he's come back. He's proven everyone wrong. He's been the standout batter in this 2 Test matches so far. He does not look like flustered by spin or pace, and he's been standout. So, you know, I think I would like to see him getting a really extended run.
He really shouldn't be. He shouldn't be out of the side because he's such an integral part of the team now, and it's proven to me that there's no one better. And you know, and if he's, I just don't know what a Cricket Australia has got in mind with the appointment of Pat Cummins. Were they considering Pat Cummins as a long-term captain?
I think so. I think he's shown his leadership skills with New South Wales and even in some of the junior teams as well. They considered him. He's got a good cricketing smart head. He hasn't made that many bad decisions so far. I mean, Ashes was just not a real test for him because, you know, England were not good enough for those 5 Test matches. His real test is subcontinent, where he's got to patrol for 5 days, make decisions when to declare and when not to declare, that type of stuff. This is making of him this year itself, when he's captaining throughout the subcontinent. After this, they've got Sri Lanka and then India, and then back home for 2020 Cup and then the home series. I think this year is going to define him, whether he's going to be a long-term captain or not, whether he's just going to deteriorate in subcontinent for this subcontinent summer, or whether he'll stand up, learn, and make himself a real good captain. And remember, not many Australian fast bowlers have been good captains, so it'd be really good for him to prove that he can lead.
Okay, all right. Let's just say Pat Cummins is captain indefinitely. Should Steve Smith be the vice captain indefinitely, or would they potentially think of someone else? Why I'm saying that is because I just keep pushing for people like Usman Khawaja to be there, and I don't know, I just wonder. I mean, I still think there's a political nature to any appointments, even though Pat Cummins is a safe bet as captain. The appointment of Steve Smith as vice captain irks me. I just don't know whether that's a previous captain being made vice captain. I don't agree with. I know.
I think I agree with you. Once you've gone down that path, with you move on from that person to be captain, and not then you try someone else. But I think the logic behind Steve Smith being vice captain was like a safety net, because they didn't know how the fast bowler will go, and obviously Australian cricket history, none of the fast bowlers have been really good captains. So that's why they went with a tried and tested captain who's done well to be his deputy, so he can control while Pat is in his spell. And you notice that during his bowling, when he's bowling, there's a lot of consultation between Uzi and Smith. So they're consulting a lot. They're making a lot of decisions. Uzi been captain for Queensland cricket for the last 5 years, and he's captain Thunder for a year as well. So he's in a leadership role for a long time. He knows his game really well, and being a captain of Queensland cricket, winning a couple of shields as well, he's done really well as a leader. So I think in hindsight, Uzi is doing like a semi vice captain role, along with Smith. You saw him talking to Schwepson a lot, and he's talking to Cummins a lot when Cummins is in his spell, and that's why he's patrolling that mid on position while Smith's in slip. So I can see from the outside, Uzi is doing a lot of discussions. He's part of that leadership group. Whether he's got the official title as a captain or vice captain or not, but he's seen from the outside as one of the leadership member.
Okay, now the thing is though, for an heir apparent to be after Pat Cummins, you have to have someone. I think it's fair to say that they give the vice captaincy role to someone who's the heir apparent. Steve Smith will not captain Australia long term. Okay, no. So they need to consider that.
Yeah.
Usman Khawaja's position is, you would argue, settled for at least, I'm going to say, a couple of years.
I think till next home matches.
Well, the term indefinite, I don't think you can put a time frame on how long a person plays Test cricket, but indefinite. The ones that worry me, and I'm talking, around this time, is Dave Warner. I think that even though he's still got a great record, and we all know that, he's not getting any younger as well. He's at virtually the same age as Khawaja, if not a little bit older. I think he's just a touch older. Steve Smith is a touch younger. So they're really, Warner's position is under some question. The interesting thing was Marcus Harris was fielding, I think, was it today or yesterday. I would have not thought the first choice as 12th man would be Marcus Harris to field. Now, they're a lot more sprightly, I think, better. I mean, Marcus Harris is not necessarily a bad fielder, but there are better fielders in that team. And even Ashton Agar would have been in terms of a substitute fielder. And I don't know I don't think Marcus Harris was defined as 12th man as such.
No.
And I don't think they work that way. So, interesting. No. Marcus Harris still has this firm belief that he's in the Australian team, and it'll be only a matter of time before he opens again. I think he's got tickets on himself, because I wouldn't have him back in at all. If Warner
I mentioned a couple of batters. I think they're probably got to be brought into the team environment back in, and one is Matt Renshaw. He's been scoring runs for both Queensland, and his white ball cricket form has been good as well. But he's going to England for county stint as well, and then the other guy is Koski. So obviously Koski's playing second 11 game now with Victoria. He still wants to. Victorian Cricket and Cricket Australia had a good hard conversation with medical staff and trying to see if he still has the desire to play international cricket, which he does, which is very good, because he's another talented talented player that I would like him to go on and make the Test match again. Then you got Patterson from New South Wales. Nick Madison's been scoring runs, so there's a few guys that you should try and bring them back into the fold and keep them around. And unfortunately, Harris for me as well is probably missing the boat for me. Not that I don't like him; he's a good cricketer, good person. But I think for Test cricketer, he's gone on, has had opportunities, but he hasn't cashed in. So it's unfortunate. I would probably go past him and try and look for the other guys who've been scoring runs.
You can't justify. I mean, if in any era that I know of, the Test player opened the batting and went 14 games, didn't score a century, he'd be out. And not unlike Renshaw, who batted a lot better than that. Even Joe Burns, I hate to say this, probably he got centuries playing for Australia. It's been hard a pill for me to swallow that he's still floating around the first team. They really sort of looked at some. I mean, now that Khawaja's done what he's done, especially in this series, there's not even a question that Khawaja's not playing every Test as an opener. Not even a question, especially the subcontinent. And look, quite frankly, in Australia, there's no different because he proved his worth in Australia already. He scored 11 centuries and he's been absolutely magnificent.
And it's just not open as well. If they want to try someone to open, Uzi is really well suited to bat at any other position as well. Like he batted at 6, scored 100 back to back. So if Trevor Hedges is not doing the role that he's supposed to be doing, then and you want to try a young opener, why not bring them into the fold, open with him, and Uzi can go back and bat at 6, which he's quite capable of batting it anywhere. I mean, I know he likes to bat top order. He's always been an opener or number 3 bat at the worst. But if the requirement of your team is that you want to try a young opener and bring him at number 6, I'm pretty sure that Uzi will have no issue with that.
Absolutely. Cameron Green is long term. My God, I mean, it's a bit. If he keeps fit, and that's the issue. He's 6'8" or whatever he is. His fitness is the main issue that he would have. Not that he's had any problems. If he keeps fit, he could surpass any all-rounder that we've had. He could well on to surpass a Watson or anyone of that nature. He could well be a one of an era type player. Even Keith Miller, in a way. Because if his batting continues to improve the way we know it can, and he gets more and more comfortable in his own skin, he's going to be unstoppable. He's proving
his bowling has come really well. He's going with the pace. He's matching the pace. He's bowling 140 plus. He's catching well. He's another guy who's I like to see his development. It is really good to see a young all-rounder, and I think we've had this conversation before. Australia love an all-rounder in the lower middle order. They've persisted with Watson for quite a long time, and he paid off. Then they've started with Marsh, but Marsh with a lot of injuries and inconsistent form. I think Green is really an answer for long term. I think they've got to give him a long run now, barring he stays fit. His body holds up. He's a tall fella. There's obviously a opportunity for a guy to pick up a niggle and an injury, which I hope he doesn't. But I think if he stays fit, he stays over his workload, I think he'll be a really good future.
So going back to Curtis Patterson for a moment, his last Test innings was a century. He injured himself. That's why he wasn't playing.
True.
And I'm scratching my head a little bit. Why didn't he go straight back in at the time? If a person scored a century his last year, only left the side because of injury, he should have been given a return Guernsey. The other player is the one that I'm going to talk to death about is Jason Sangha. I know he hasn't been in incredible form, but his whole makeup, being an Australian under-19 captain, all of the way that he does things, and the way he in fact bats, very much a Test-style batsman. I think the thing that's damaged Sangha a little bit is he's tried to become a short form specialist as well with his spin and his batting, and that may have tainted him a little bit. I think it somehow may have put him off guard a bit, because I think he was pretty much heading for an Australian jersey, based on the fact of the way he was getting in the Australian 11 teams all the time. He went off a little bit, but I think there's someone there that they should invest more time in, because he could not only play for Australia but could captain Australia.
I think he's this year his game has come really well, and you saw him in white ball cricket when he was playing for Thunder, and all of a sudden he's come good. He's batting well. He's captained as well this year for Thunder. I have a lot of hope in they have invested quite a lot in him in the youth ages, but now that he's started to come good, he's scoring Shield hundreds again. He's doing well after having a tough year at New South Wales and at Thunder. He wasn't getting any game time, but this year he was number one player at Thunder. And now that he's scoring runs at Shield as well, he's captain Shield one day, New South Wales one day team down at Queensland versus Queensland as well. So he's definitely earmarked as a leader. I'd like to see him in the fold sooner rather than later to get him touring with the team, playing those, the tour games away. I hope they take him to India.
Did Cameron Green play Australian under 19s?
I think he did, but not as well.
Was he in Jason? He wasn't on the same side with Sanger and Ollie Pope, and that wasn't
he? He's younger.
Right. Okay. Anyway, there's some commentary here. There's people, some very learned people. And Asha Rahela keeps talking about, is it Henry Hunt and Bryce Street, and obviously Sanger, Martin Labuschagne, Cam Green. They're there. That's a potential side there, right there. Now, I'm going to come back to another point on the captaincy. People continue to comment about, Labuschagne's the next captain. I'm vehemently against that, because the guy has never captained anyone. And you cannot be a captain of Australia for the first time in your life. Captaining anyone is beyond me. I'm sorry. I find that extremely strange.
I found it strange. Marnus is probably will stay as a senior player in the team. Would have some thoughts and suggestions to go forward, but as a leader, even in his club here, where he plays his club cricket, he doesn't captain.
Where does he play club cricket?
Redlands.
Valleys, yeah.
Redlands.
Redlands, okay.
Yeah, so he doesn't captain there either. So it's hard to see him all of a sudden being promoted as a Test captain, because if you haven't had any experience of being captain, even going from your club land to state land to your even youth ages, it'd be hard for me to say Marnus being a captain. The other names you mentioned, they are really good cricketers as well. Harry Hunt just recently been promoted as Redbacks captain. He's been one of the bright lights for South Australia. He's come a long way, and same with Streety as well. He's been batting well. He's another top order batsman who's been scoring runs. So I think all of these names have got potential to go ahead and get a Braggy Green. It's just that how much now Cricket Australia start building that next generation, because your current crop is reaching out that high end of 30s, where traditionally Australians have not gone on and played in their 40s or late 30s. They've, look at the Clarks and look at the Walls. They've all retired, and in mid to late 30s they've retired, even when they were at top of their mark. But that's what I was saying, that you've got to bring those guys back into the fold and try and keep them around the Aussie structure and get them experiencing the tours of especially subcontinent. And I hope they take a couple of them to Sri Lanka and a couple of them to India, to give them a bit of a taste of those pitches. And if they play some tour games, these guys should get another run.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what Australia do, because I think, I don't know. I'm still thinking that Pat Cummins shouldn't be a long-term captain. Not because of him not being good enough or anything like that. I don't want to knock his ability, but I think they've got to go more traditionally with a captaincy. I think Pat Cummins is doing an admirable job, but you keep looking at his performance and keep thinking that he's leading by example, which is good, but he's having to lean too much on the players around him. Again, his captaincy experience throughout his career is very minimal, and I just don't think he's a natural captain.
No,
He's a natural leader in terms of by example,
yeah.
and very admirable. But to be the captain, I don't know whether he's got the smarts really to do what he's doing.
And you would know if his captaincy starts to affect his bowling. That's where he's got to go and say, look, it'd be good to get someone. That's why you don't see, as I said to you, traditionally in Australian culture or Australian cricket, we haven't seen many fast bowlers being captains or successful captains like England have been. Other teams have been, Pakistan, India, even Sri Lanka. They've had fast bowler captains and they've been successful captains over the time. But in Australian cricket history, you see not many fast bowlers being long-term captain and being successful as well. So I think as soon as his bowling starts to get affected, he's got to step down, or Cricket Australia's got to take a lead and bring another captain in.
Because he's in terms of his bowling, he's going to be always picked because he's captain, so he'll be always the bowler there. But there may be conditions that may not suit his bowling. There may be situations where he gets genuinely injured, which is highly likely.
With his workloads in India and Sri Lanka and Pakistan, he's got to be rested as well. You can't keep bowling him down to ground, especially when you've got World Cups and the ICC events coming in. And he's had a hard tour with the workload. What are you going to do then?
And see, I couldn't imagine him captaining Australia and not bowling, but just batting as a form of rest. I don't think they'll do that. They can't risk that because he's not a bad batter, but he's not good enough to be classified as a batsman.
No.
So you get my point. Do you understand what I'm saying? With the longevity of him as captain is questionable because the reason why they don't have bowlers as captains is because they get injured. They need breaks now, especially in the modern era. The rotation policies are there. So there's a real issue that Pat Cummins has to play because he's captain. And I don't want Steve Smith to become an automatic vice captain all the time. There needs to be something thought about there. They need to address that because I don't think they've got it. I don't believe they've got it right. And it's okay for the moment.
Yeah.
But they need.
It's got to be addressed.
Hence why Curtis Patterson or Jason Zanger or even Kawaja, and I keep thinking of him because his position in the subcontinent. We're playing against India and Sri Lanka, and we'll probably play against Bangladesh. We'll probably have a lot of series in the near future, especially against India. And the need to have a guy that's going to be handling it in those conditions is exactly that. Again, Steve Smith may not become an automatic selection in the side either over time. He might be seen as someone who may not be an automatic selection as well.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be interesting. I don't think they've got it right long term. No way. No. And I want to know what their thinking is. How when you appoint a captain of the country, it's usually a bit like the coach, a 3 to 4, 5 year proposition. And maybe that you don't have to go after that many years. You can captain for longer, but 3 or 4 years should be an absolute maximum. And if that's the case. Is he going to be there for that long? I just don't think so.
No. It'd be interesting. I know, Norm, we love cricket chat and we love a good discussion. Unfortunately, I've got to leave.
I thought you did. I mean, it's getting past midnight. Way past your bedtime.
Yeah.
Or you go, Mosen. Thanks for joining me. It's been fantastic. Australia's got great numbers. Thanks to your efforts.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure talking to you, and thanks for your audience as well. We'll chat tomorrow.
See you later.
See you, mate. Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, Mosen cut. It's now 1:15. Into the next day. It's actually 16th of March, a Wednesday here, about 12:15 a.m. In Pakistan, it's 6:15, and a place like India, 6:45 p.m. In England, it's around 1 o'clock in the afternoon mark. So it's fairly good timing for other people in other countries. Not as much trouble. Well, I'm still here. We're going to talk some more. We'll take some examples. So, Himanshu Rahel said Jason Zanger's super talent. No one I wanted to play at 3 in the future. I did too. Badly. I think the earlier the better because he could be a long-term, big scoring player. How has he beat Pakistan in the World Cup final? though in a group stage, Pac beat Aussie in 2011 World Cup. Pac beat them again. That's a different format to this, of course, Mohan. This is Test cricket. This is very, very different. I personally think that we're looking at a situation here where, I think that Pakistan have got a great chance to go close to winning. I'd say they're going to draw. Hopefully, that's what the minimum they aim for is a draw, and that would be a fantastic result, really, from where they're at. It would be a great recovery, which puts a lot of excitement into the Lahore Test. It could be 0-0 or draw all, and then into a one-game wins all competition. It'd be great. And look, if they get a chance to get through this and eventually win the series, they'll go top of the World Test Championship, and they could firm even more to play against Australia or potentially even India in the World Test Championship final, which will go into, I believe, next year. Well, the points tally goes into next year, which is quite remarkable indeed. So, there's a lot riding on this. I'll tell you what, there's a lot riding on this series. And I think Pakistan know it, and they're playing as if they know it, which is a great sign of what's to come. Really impressive, guys. Any other questions? Because there's so much we can talk about here. The way that Babar Azam has played today has been absolutely monumental. He certainly has deserved every accolade that he's gotten on the way he's played. Really has been one of the best performances in terms of the pressure of the situation. No doubt about that at all. And there's a lot of good things coming out of this particular innings. Not just the innings, the way he played, the way he's led from the front. There's a lot of great accolades to be taken from this. Indeed, it's one of those very impressive situations, and I'm grateful to have seen it actually. So we'll look at 1500. We need to really, grasp the significance of this. Any other questions, guys? I'm just going to get a drink, guys. Give me 2 seconds. I'm back. I mean, the form of Australian-Pakistan matches over the years has been fantastic. We unfortunately haven't played too many times in Pakistan. We've only played once in 24 years in Pakistan. We've played Pakistan many, many times in Australia. We've always had a massive advantage because it's played on our home conditions, whether it be T20, ODI or Tests. The fact that it's been played at home has given Pakistan a rare opportunity to show their wares at home. And these two batters could perform a miracle tomorrow. I don't know what the odds are, but obviously the odds are stacked in favour of Australia still winning this match, just purely based on history. The teams have never gotten more than 400 runs in the last innings to win a match. I think they've got more than 400 to save a match, but not to win a match. So in terms of victory, it's still in Australia's favour. And I'm going to say 65 to 70%, 65%, let's say, with a draw being, around the 20 mark and 15% for an actual victory to Pakistan. And they're not severe odds, they're quite realistic odds. I think you'll find that's probably the case. It doesn't take away from a draw being a victory of sorts, really. Pakistan can bat long. These two blokes they've batted for most of the day, so they haven't. These two in particular, they're 1 or 2 for 20 odds, so they were pretty much batting these two guys all day now. Considering how the first test went, and Abdul Rashid batted the entire last day with Imam Al-Haq, it's very possible he batted like that. In the first innings, he got 44, he was out. Azhar Ali would have been an absolute key. The fact that he was given out when the ball hit his glove, and that still defies belief, beggars belief when you think of he should have been aware of his own self, should have been aware that what happened to him, he was able to feel the bat on his glove, so the ball on his glove, which he clearly didn't. Otherwise, he would have went up immediately. which is very sad. Don't you think, guys? It was a bit sad that he didn't. Sazar Ali would be incredibly vital to a victory, let alone a draw tonight. And that was the thing that I would have suggested they would have needed very much the case. Any other questions, guys? As we see another day of Test cricket, the fourth day of Test cricket. This is the post or review show of today's play, where Pakistan are now in a position of, well, certainly not ascendancy. That's a bit of a wishful thought, but they're certainly in a position of great confidence. They're now. Let's have a look at the score. They're more than 214. 2 for 192. So again, Australia were a 9 declared for 556 in the first innings. Then Pakistan won the bat and were very quickly out for a mere 148, which was very much a bad situation. They gave Australia a 408 lead on the first innings, which was ginormous. They then went on the bat and they were 2 for 97, which gave them an overall lead of 505. And in turn, Pakistan have started badly. They were two for at one stage 21, having lost both Imam al-Haq for 1 and Azhar Ali for 6 of a ball that was not out. For that to go on to a situation where they've had a partnership now of 171 run partnership for the third wicket, which hasn't fallen, of course, and Abdullah Shafiq is now at 71, and of course Babar Azam got his century just before the end of the day's play, before the new ball was taken, for 102. So they're both batting sensational. Fawad Alam to follow Mohammad Razan. Those two guys are going to be very important. For him, Ashraf's going to play a role here too. Noiman and Sajid can bat a little bit, quite substantially, but we hopefully wouldn't need them. They may be there in the throws in the last hours. We don't want to get down to Hassan Ali and Shaheen Afridi, even though Shaheen Afridi certainly give the ball a bit of a belt. I wouldn't be relying on him saving the match like any of the tailenders. Pakistan win tomorrow, inshallah. Let's hope. Malik Hadi. What are you the chance of Australia to win final over? Australia, as I think I said earlier, I'd say it's 65%, 20% draw, and then a further 15% of Pakistan victory at this stage. That may change as the day progresses. We'll wait and see. But yeah, so Pakistan need 314 in the last day, which is 100 a session, which will be one of the fastest run rates throughout the tests, or close to the fastest run rate. So it's doable. Don't forget they got none for 252 in Rawalpindi. So they didn't lose a wicket. And Abdullah Shafiq was right in the middle of that with Imam al-Haq, so he's certainly capable of doing that. Pakistan bat deep. Even Hassan at 10 has a first-class century. There you go. I didn't know about that. That's pretty impressive, really. I must say. I didn't realise he had that sort of batting capability. That certainly is. It's pretty impressive. No, 1600. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Just fire away with questions. More than happy to help with that. But we can collapse like the Poms. That's also true. Let's hope that doesn't happen. I don't want to see that. That would be, and after all the work that Babar Azam's gone to get to this point, what do you think Nolan can Australia add Tanveer Sanger ahead of Nathan Lyon in upcoming series? That's up to Nathan Lyon, because Nathan Lyon will probably be given every opportunity to just be able to call it an end of his career. I don't think he wants to go anywhere at this point. I think he wants to be in the top 10, so it may not happen that quickly. But it'd be nice to see Tanveer Sanger and Jason Sanger, both two Sangers in there. That would be fantastic. Love that. Yeah, it's a difficult one. It's all the hard work that Pakistan have put into today to get back on deck is amazing. Don't forget, if they got more runs in the first innings, we may have had a very different complexity to the match at this point. In fact, Australia batted on and got 2 for 97 to make it what they thought out of any question they would lose. certainly still in their favour. They've got 3 full days of a 5th day to get through. What is the result for tomorrow? Okay, first of all, I would say it's going to be my first, again, percentage-wise, it's 60 to 65% Australia winning, with 20% draw and 15 to 20% in favour of Pakistan. But that could change very quickly throughout the day. What do you think of Australia at the top? I think we haven't had solo openers in a long time, but these days when all other openers are doing shit, Shafiq's been fantastic. Lahore Qalandar's fine as far as I'm aware. Abdullah has only played like 3 first-class games out of which 1 or 2 were for Pakistan. And he's doing fantastic. Obviously, they saw potential in him, and he's met that potential, and he's batting beyond that, having gotten 44, a century, and the first things he didn't do well, but this time he's on his way to another century. He's batted 3 out of the 4 innings sensational. Very impressive. I'm very impressed with him. Very impressed with him indeed. Abdullah Shafiq, Azhar Ali is extremely important, and he got out to a ball that he shouldn't have. As we saw, he was hit on the glove. It was like a bat, effectively, and that was a real pity, because had he still been there with Bubba or Abdullah, we would have had a lot more certainty as to how the result would go. Shan is also a very solid option, especially in cases that suit him. Yeah. I think Ben McDermott can get a chance in Test also. It'll be some time before he needs to get a solid performance as Australia in the short form, I think. Imam being picked was kind of shocking for me over Shan in the first Test, but he's proven to be pretty good, though. He has proven very good. Imam Al-Haq's been fantastic. Looked a bit scratchy this Test match, I must say. A little bit scratchy this Test match. But I've got a lot of faith in him. I think he looks the goods to me. He's proved himself today. Pakistan. Okay, I'm not getting that Mohamed Ibrahim official. Umar Gul, Saeed, Ajmal, Misbah, Yunus will always be such underrated players. Yeah, they're all fantastic players. Pakistan claps tomorrow, Norm. Manship Rahela, I hope not. Well, very much hope so. I hope not. Indeed, please let's not have that happen. I don't want to see that. This match does not deserve that sort of ending at all. I don't want to see that sort of ending on a match like this today. It would be not the way that I would like to see it go. King Khan, Australia never won a Test at Karachi, come close to 904. That's a big factor. It's a mental strength factor for Pakistan. Uncle Nike, hello. Norman, do you think hot playing conditions is the main cause for Australia not picking up wickets? Do you mean today? Possibly. Pakistan know that if they grind out the day, which they've done very well today, they will get the ascendancy over the day's play. And there's too much pressure on Sweeps and take 5 wickets and win the match. Shane Warne would have been a different story in this situation, for sure. As we know, he is a bit of a sensation when it comes to winning matches like that. It's been a day where we've had pretty big stories to tell, I must say. It's been, what are you drinking? I'm drinking apple juice. Nudies, nothing but apples, nudie. There we are. Just apple juice. And I had some double smoked ham, leg ham. Nothing alcoholic. I'm not an alcohol drinker, generally not. I love drinking as an apple juice. Great. 1638, 1718, 1638. All right. We'll get some more questions here. So here, saying, what do you think about opening a different format? Barbara opens in T20, 3, 4 ODIs, and 4 in Test. Brisbane opens in T20s, match 5 or 6 in ODI and Test. Flacco is a very good player. Opens in ODI. He's a player I like a lot too. There's nothing wrong with their batting order. Also, Pakistan never lost a Test match. I thought it's going to be interesting. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. It's again Azhar Ali's wicket's the one that really worries me the most. He could easily have made a big difference. Really big difference. Big difference. That's where the difference. That could have been the significant difference. In fact, Australia will come fresh tomorrow and win the Test match. We'll see. What should be the strategy of Australia tomorrow? Bowl attackingly and field placements which are attacking. Pakistan has almost never lost at Karachi. It's like our Gabba. Well, we lost the Gabba, didn't we? So there's always a potential that can happen. So let's hope it doesn't happen for Pakistan's sake, but it could. Bit of a remarkable result, actually, for Australia, that they even have an opportunity to get that close. We'll see. It's potentially the case. It's been an impressive day overall, I must say. And like you just saw, I was laughing at I'd put a certain thumbnail, which is a bit interesting. There we are. Now it's great to be able to provide this for you guys. Charles Lee. Mitchell Stark had a big role tomorrow, you're right. Let's have a look. I had to give an exam while King Baba was giving us a masterclass. There you go. Also, Pakistan had never lost a test at Karachi until 2001 versus England, so they've got a great record for them. Mitchell Stark would play a big role tomorrow. He could with a new ball, yes. Charles Lee Hunnam, who do you think will be the trump card for Australia tomorrow? Probably, don't think Swepson. Lyon hasn't been bowling out well. It may be a Stark or a Cummins. Catching is critical tomorrow. Australia want to win the match. Exactly. They can't. Steve Smith can't afford to drop catches. Weissman dropped catching. It was a different one, apparently. So, give a bit of a doubt there. Australia needs to pull out chances because Babbitt is and few won't give it easily. That's true. Well, I'm from Perth, Australia. King can't. Even street roads have extra bounce here. There you go. The Perth is notorious for bounce, isn't it? We know that much. Oh my God. And the comments there. Baramarani's still making comments, but he's not online. Baramarani, if you're watching this and you're making comments but not being online, well then come and join the show, for God's sake. But the stats are very much in favour of Australia winning. But you will wait and see. Let's have a look at it. So saying the limited over series will have a much better crowded atmosphere and will live up to the hype of the series regardless of the dead rubber test. Look, Ned, I'm disappointed there wasn't more of a crowd there today, to be honest with you. Why Australia has to respect and take Agar because they have a struggle against left arm spinner. Yeah, I don't know. I think Agar would have been a good option. And what do you make of Patrick's captaincy so far this tour? Not bad. It's not bad. It's not great either. If I'm being really fair to the situation, I don't think it's great either. So. 162, there we go. Last 60 minutes. So, impressive. Amid why and why nots, Shrepson will do it for your mate tomorrow. Okay. Have you seen Cummins' third ball with new ball to Boa? Was it one heck of a delivery? A big instrument. I know the ball was seaming around quite considerably, and even Bubba was a bit shocked. Barely anyone I know watches Test cricket, but most people in Pakistan watch them. Like, oh, I don't know, they're cricket tragics. That means they love Test cricket. In the case of Charlie Lee, so we've got some interviews coming through now. So Abdullah Shafiq has just given us a bit of an interview. I do want to see this. Oops. No. I'm just trying to work. I've got to work through this because this is where I upload the videos, so we can get this done. Let's have a look. Why would Patterson not playing? Patterson's not playing because he's been getting so many head injuries. Who takes more? Who will take more wickets tomorrow? I think Stark will be a key. Yeah, they'll be under huge pressure tomorrow. There'll be a lot of pressure tomorrow for sure. Pekoski is still injured rather than Noy. Yeah, that's true. Batters need captains need to create chances. I agree with that. What's the story here? Oops, it's not what I wanted to look at. Just got to get this interview out of the way. Okay. So Shafiq's interviews are coming through. But they've just now given us Michael Divenuto is the coach of batting coach of Australia. I don't know whether that's something that's I'm just trying to see whether there's any other. Yeah, so they're not going to let us. We're not going to see the. Let's have a look here. Yeah, Abdullah Shafiq's had his interview. Do you think Josh would have been ideal for this kind of? Because I do, and I actually think Scott Boland would have been as well. I've noticed Aussies are not sledging or looking aggressive towards batsman impact. Do you think that's because of drugs from CA? No, I think there's been some subtle things going on there, guys. Don't think that for a minute that's the case. Here we are. Abdul Shafiq's in the chat. Let's see what he's had to say.
We've got Abdullah Shafiq with us. Any questions in English, boys? Do we have any questions in English?
I often ask whether there's any questions in English first prior to actually going to the Urdu questions. It's interesting that they do that. Let's have a look here. And the fact is that Abdullah Shafiq is he's certainly a man at the moment. He's played well in both tests now, not just simply the test here. Is in Angkor? I don't think so. He is a kind of bowler. Who are we talking about? In Asia, fans bash their cricketers too well. No, I don't think so. Cricket's still revered in Australia, don't worry. Who do you think will be the next coach of Australia? Trevor Bayliss, Jason Gillespie are the two, and Andrew McDonald's a possible third if he's needed. But I think Trevor Bayliss should be the next coach for a lot of good reasons. So Abdullah, who's what Abdullah. Not coming up. Abdullah is ABDULLAH, okay? And Shafiq is a great name. I love Shafiq, it's a great name. Shafiq. Courtesy of Pakistan Cricket Board. Post day 4 in Karachi. So I do this post because as a Pakistan, let's hope Pakistan do win. It'll be the biggest upset ever, considering the state of play. Although with some on pictures that really tell you that they should be able to do this. No, Aussie versus England. There we go. Dollar. That would be a second, guys. I was able to find out. I thought it was 11. So look here, what was the video there? There was a certain video that we had. Let's have a look. When you upload a video to YouTube, it can get quite complicated if you're not careful. So the video up to now is the 1111th video, which is quite and it's going to be 7:49 and it's recorded. Okay. There you go. You go straight there, and then you go there, and you paste away, and then it's all happening. That's the playlists of these three here. And then you're done. There we go. Okay, I'm uploading. There you go. So, and let's look at some questions. King Khan, mystery is how Pakistan is producing fast players considering their wickets are even slower than others. I think it's great. Physical capability, tall, strapping men who want to bowl fast. Siddharth, I don't know, do you think Pakistan can create this remark? Let's hope they can. Go to 2.0. I like that. I like that a lot. Why shouldn't they be able to? Why shouldn't they be able to? So Michael DiVenuto has come out for the interview and not a player, which I'm a little bit disappointed about that. I would have liked to have seen a player come out. Abdullah Shafiq post-match. There you go. Okay, so let's just wait and see. It was very quick. Michael DiVenuto's video has gone up. So, Norman, do you see any change both sides for the third test? Pakistan, No, I don't think they should be quite happy with their team. But the Australian side, well, now that they've put the foot forward and put Swepson in the lineup, they're going to keep him. Whether they bring in Agar as well is the question. Cummins did a mistake by not forcing a follow-on. I agree. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. So I think you're bang on the number there. Michael Divinita's come on. He's got this massive beard going on. Let's just see what's the story here with Michael Divinito. Nalakshi Sharma. So Cummins did a mistake here. So King's draw is only best result for Pakistan. Victory, Baba and Shafiq need to stay there all day to see, which is not likely. I agree. I have to agree. I don't think there's much chance of victory, even though I don't want to say that because we just don't know. We really don't know. We don't know because we might have a miracle here tomorrow. Although incredible amount of history tells you that it won't be that case. So Michael Divinito, what is his actual title? Let's have a look. He's actually called the Australian assistant coach, not just a bowling coach, but assistant coach. Gabbo 2.0. Let's keep that theme up. I like that Gabbo 2.3. I like that, guys. I like the Australian assistant coach. Now, Michael Divinito was a great batter. He played for Victoria. I don't think he played for Australia as such. Michael Divinito, although he was a very, very impressive. Not the most impressive person to interview, to be honest, but Divinito. Various Italian sound looks like maybe a soccer player or something. Michael Divinito, courtesy of Cricket Australia. Can't even put posters. Let's take 4. It's a matter of whether when you put the headings up of should be a little well. Okay, so all right, draw is only best result for Pakistan. Victory, Baba and Shafiq. Now I said that before, but Gabba, I think a draw will be fair result. Both played very well. I agree. All right, guys, we might leave it at that. So don't forget to view, like, and share the post, subscribe, and the notification button. At Norm Koch is both the Twitter and the so-called Instagram. Norm Koch is my Facebook and my LinkedIn page. All right, so you think a draw will be a fair result? It'll be a great result for Pakistan, to be honest with you. It'll be absolutely a great result. I think it should be deemed as one of the best results they'll have. Michael D. Venuto. Not the most legendary of names. Australian. Let's go for Karachi. Second test. Karachi, there we go. Well, normally do I think I can go straight to there. All right, so I'm sure Australia will come up with a different plan, or they are a tough side. We won't be lucky even if to get a draw for this test. I kind of see your point. I tend to think that too, to be honest. But you've got to be a bit more confident with the situation, and my confidence levels are up. And I believe in good things. I think that there's every chance that we could have an upset. They've got the capability. They've got the capability. Absolutely. There we go. All right. Now, concentrate on this. I'm sure whether it's a different plan so much as a different strategy, that's the question. And we'll wait to see how that all goes. And, that's where there's every possibility, guys. Every possibility. We just don't know. We just don't know. We really just don't know. The last 60 minutes we've got that much. Yeah, that's good. You just don't know, guys. All right, guys. View, like, and share the post. Subscribe. Eyes on cricket, Norm Kochling. I've said all that before. Notification button. Subscribe at Norm Koch. This is my Twitter and my Instagram handles. Norman Kochling is both my Facebook and, of course, my LinkedIn page. We'll bid each other a farewell there, guys. It's been a great session indeed. We might even hit 3,000 on this today. Let's see how we've gone. It's been really, really, really happy. I've had a great time, guys. Cummins took a new ball at the right time. 90 overs tomorrow, and after 80 overs, they can have another the batsman keep a breeze factor in Karachi in the afternoon. All sounds good, King Khan, but we've got to wait and see the proof in the pudding. And that's at this stage, Australia's 60 to 65% chance of winning. Draw about 20, and I'll win on about 15 to 20 for a draw. That's probably the best way of looking at it at this point in time. All right, guys. Any other questions before we leave? Any other questions? Just throw them at me. We've had a good long session. We've talked an hour and a half. We've had Mosen Sheikh here again. He's been fantastic. He's a very, very, very good orator on what he talks about. But I think at this stage, it's a 60% chance of Australia winning. They're in the box seat. But it comes down to how well Pakistan can bat to salvage a draw. And if they bat out of their skin, they may even win. Salvage a draw is a massive, massive result in their favour. There's no doubt about that at all. So I'd be pretty happy with that, guys. I'd be very happy with that indeed. Indeed. All right, guys. All the best to you. It's now almost 1 a.m. in the morning here in Australia, and we'll bid for all the best.